Hello, everyone, and welcome to the How to Nominate and Win a CODiE Award webcast. We will get started in just a minute. There are a number of people joining the call as we kick off. So I'll get us started with just a couple of quick housekeeping things. First of all, I'm your host, Jenny Baranowski, and I'm also your contact throughout the CODiE Award process. So here's a quick overview of what we'll be covering today. We'll cover what's new in 2020 with the CODiE Awards and what to expect throughout the CODiE Awards cycle, the nomination process timeline and important dates, some tips for a successful demo and CODiE Award experience, how to leverage your finalist status or winner status, and at the end we'll save some time for some question and answer. So as you may have noticed, all of the lines are muted, so make sure to utilize the chat box to ask any questions. I did see one come through just now that asked about if the slides will be shared after the call, and I'll actually be sending the entire recording along with the slides, so you'll have access to all of this after the webcast concludes. I will monitor the chat box throughout the webcast, but because I'm the only person speaking on it, I'll save most of the questions until the end, unless your question is relevant to what we're speaking about at that particular time. And if I noticed that one person can't hear, so just my only suggestion would be to dial in through the computer. So as I mentioned, this webcast is being recorded, and I'll send everyone the link to the recording after it concludes. So please do share that link with your colleagues that may be participating throughout the CODiE Awards cycle with you, so they too are in the loop. It's just a nice way to get involved. And then if you run into any technical problems throughout the webcast, please visit the tech support at readytalk.com/support. So another thing too is that I'm always available to answer any questions you have throughout the CODiE Award nomination process and throughout the award cycle. So no question is too small or too large. I'm happy to help answer anything that I can for you. So if you think of any questions after we conclude, then please do shoot me an email or you can give me a call. I'm generally here, so I'm happy to help. So continuing on, 2020 marks the 35th anniversary of the CODiE Awards, and with such a long-standing tradition of excellence, we have honored thousands of products in both the education and business technology space in achieving excellence. So what makes the CODiE Awards unique, if you aren't already familiar with the program, is that nominated products receive 2 rounds of review. The first round is what we call the expert review, and then we have a second round peer review that's done by SIA members. So during that first round of review, each product entry will be assigned 2 industry experts to conduct an in-depth evaluation of the product. So if you decide to nominate in multiple categories, you'll receive 2 judges per category that you enter in. And those reviewers that you're assigned are educators and administrators on the for the EdTech CODiE nominations, and then their product and industry executives, consultants, investors, press, on the business technology side. So these are all people that will be very familiar with the type of products you are entering into the awards. And each of these reviewers scores the products against a set of category-specific judging criteria, and the products that have the highest scores advance as finalists into that second round of review that we'll go over in just a minute. And we have all of the products scored against a set of judging criteria to ensure that all of the products, regardless of size, can compete fairly in the same category without bias. We also share that judging criteria on our website, so we're very transparent throughout the process, and that lets you know exactly what the judges will be looking for so you can tailor your demo to highlight those areas. And then another thing that's really valuable is the judges provide written feedback in addition to scoring against that set rubric. So each product receives access to the written feedback as well, so you know why the judges scored the way they did, which is really helpful. And all of that will be provided to you when the first round review concludes. Because the first round is such a thorough review of the product, it accounts for 80% of your overall score. It's also the most labor-intensive part of the awards process. So the nomination form will only take you about 5 minutes or so to actually complete, as long as you have the information gathered that you want to put into the form. But putting together a tight demo and things like that for that first round review with the judges does take a little bit more time. So definitely keep that in mind. And then, as I mentioned, there are 2 rounds of review, so that once that first round review is completed, that determines the finalists for the awards, and the second round of review is conducted by SIA members, and this is done over a 2-week period. Each member company gets one has one assigned reviewer. So if it's a large company, they only have one reviewer. If it's a small company, they have one reviewer. And they have 2 weeks to complete that process, and that accounts for 20% of your overall score. And then both of the scores from both rounds are combined, and that helps us determine who the winners are. And those winners will be announced May 18th for the business technology categories and May 19th for the education technology categories. And both ceremonies will be held at the Omni Hotel in San Francisco. Those details are on our website, and I'll make sure to share those with you again after the webcast concludes. So continuing on, why do people nominate? There are several reasons why, and I've listed some of the biggest ones here. As I mentioned, the expert review, the feedback received is one of the top things that people say they love about the CODiE Awards. So those expert reviewers often they provide a deep dive review of the product. So they'll provide meaningful feedback and write it out. Many of those comments are very complimentary of the product. So you can use that in your marketing messaging if you'd like. You can share it with your product team. If there's something that they thought kind of stood out that they wish would be improved, that's another great thing to share with the product team. So, so that's a huge point that people like. Another thing that we've seen is actually from that first round of review, some of the judges have been so impressed by the products that they've seen that they've actually recommended the products be implemented in their schools, or they've recommended the products to some of their clients and things like that. So it's a great way to get your product seen and potentially land some new customers along the way. Another great thing about the CODiE Awards is it provides increased press, customer and prospect visibility, and product recognition. So to this point, simply nominating just provides you with the opportunity to tell customers that you're up for an award. I mean, that's great to share in itself. And then throughout the process, you'll benefit from being able to let your customers know that hopefully you're a finalist, and if you win, that's a great thing to share far and wide. You can certainly reach out to your press contacts And you'll also have the opportunity to get in front of other SI members that may not already be aware of your product. So it's a great way to just be seen by some new audiences. And then another one is that's not listed on this slide is benchmarking. So as I mentioned, during that first round of review, you'll be putting together a tailored demo for the CODiE Awards, and it's a great opportunity to just take a peek at how you're describing your product already and see what kind of tweaks you'd want to make to make sure that you are shining above the competition. So that's a good one. And then another great one is team recognition and employee recognition. So awards recognize the hard work and achievements of your employees. You can use your finalist status to boost morale and motivate staff to be committed to innovation. And as we all know, when employees are proud of their company's achievements, they have an excuse to tell prospects and customers about the product and how it's the best in the business. So another exciting thing too is, say, their sales staff, that if you're selling an award-winning product, that makes their life a lot easier. So that's another good one. Funding. If your company is looking for funding, VCs and the banking community are often looking at award winners and finalists to find companies poised for growth. So awards can help small businesses become profitable, get funded, get purchased, or even go through an IPO. We've actually had several success stories over the years with the CODiEs of companies and products that have actually done just that. So very exciting. And then bragging rights. Everyone loves to win. It feels good. So being part of that winner circle is a great achievement and is another amazing reason to nominate. So let's just go over what's new with the awards this year. We take a lot of pride in keeping the CODiE Award categories current. So each year we ask CODiE Award participants, judges, SI board members, and stakeholders to take a peek at the existing CODiE Award categories and add or change any categories as they see the market heading. And we do this just to make sure that the program evolves with the technologies as they develop. And we've been doing this throughout the years. So just because it is the 35th anniversary, I think it's just worth mentioning how much the tech industry has changed over the last 35 years. So a few of my personal favorites as I review all the categories is back in 1987, best 16-bit graphic was the big thing then. And then 1997, we actually had a best worldwide applet category. And now, of course, the hot categories are ones like best artificial intelligence solutions. So how things have changed. So this year, we do have 3 new business technology categories that are listed here on the screen. And then we have 6 newer revised ed tech categories. So if you typically nominate in the best corporate enterprise learning solution, it's now listed under the biz tech side, so keep an eye out there. And then you can find all of the category descriptions and judging criteria at the link listed at the bottom of the page. And to see the complete category description, just make sure to expand the little plus sign next to each of the category names, and you'll see that. Another thing to note is that all nominations are automatically entered into the best overall education solution category on the ed tech side of the CODiEs, and then we have a best overall business technology solution category for the biz tech categories. This CODiE for both sides is awarded to the product with the highest score of all of the products that are entered in all categories. So you can basically see that as a bonus nomination. There's no fee for that overall category. And each of these overall winners will be announced during the winner announcement on May 18th and 19th in San Francisco. So continuing on, let's just go through the nomination process. The nomination form is open now through January 17th, and the application itself is really pretty simple. It only takes a few minutes to complete. Like I said before, it should probably take you about 5 minutes. So the nominations can be entered by yourself, like by the company. They can be entered by a PR company, an advisor, an investor. Really, anyone can nominate a product on your behalf, or you can nominate yourself. Most people end up nominating their own products, and that's great. So just getting back to the details of the nomination, I do recommend mapping out your nomination in Word or Notepad first, just to make sure you have a backup copy, and to spell check. I see typos all the time, and those little things make a difference. People notice them. So just make sure to check your work before entering it into the form. You can always make changes throughout the process, but it's good to put something in the first time, and then you don't have to think about it as much. And then you'll want to visit the URL on the page here to actually access the form. If you don't already have a login, you can create one at the bottom of the page, or simply shoot me an email, and I'm happy to help with that. In the nomination form, you'll be asked for a brief product description. I just recommend using marketing copy. That way you have something already in place. It's going to be clear and concise. You don't want to get too technical in the product description. And that is what will be posted to our website should you become a finalist. You'll also be asked for contact information for 2 different contacts for the awards. So you'll definitely want at least one of those to be with, on the product team. It's okay if a PR contact is the other contact, but we want to make sure that there's one at the company as well. So keep that in mind. And then if you'd like to have more people attached and receiving access to your nomination portal, just shoot me an email, and I'm happy to add them to access the portal. And then so here's all of the stuff that you'll need. You'll also be asked, when you're selecting your categories, you'll be asked to provide a sentence on why you fit into a category, and that's really only used to make sure that you have nominated in the correct category. Sometimes people accidentally select the wrong one, so that's really for our use internally, and it doesn't get shared with the judges, so you don't need to worry about making it very long or anything. Here is a screenshot of what the nomination form looks like. This is very small, but once you log in yourself, you'll be able to see it a little bit larger. And like I said, it's very short. The heavy lifting is really for the demo. You will have the option to add some links to information on your product. So if you have any white papers, or if you have videos that help describe what the product does, this is a great place to enter that information. We do have a text box where it asks you to upload a demo. Instead of working to develop a demo before you submit your nomination, what I tell people to do is actually record one of their demos with their judges, and then place that recording in the nomination portal, which is this nomination form. And that way, if the judges need to revisit any of the information, they can at any point, and you don't have to worry about spending more time creating another demo. So that's just a nice quick tip. And then the last thing, of course, is payment. You'll have to complete your payment in order for the nomination to be considered active and entered. So we do have an invoice me option. You're welcome to do that. That triggers the same thing. It will make it so you are actually nominated, but you need to be sure to have that nomination paid in full by the time judging begins on January 27th. So just keep that in mind. And again, if you have any questions throughout the process, go ahead and use the chat box. I did get one that came through, and just reconfirming, that's correct. You do not need to submit a recorded demo when you submit your nomination. You're welcome to, but to save yourself some time, just go ahead and record one of your demos with the judges, and you can put that recorded demo in the judging portal. And sometimes and we'll cover this a little bit later in the presentation, but sometimes you'll find that the judges really prefer a recorded demo over a live one, and if that's the case, then sure, put a recorded demo in the portal right away, but usually people do want a live demo. So you can just save yourself some time and just record your demo with the judge. So next up, let's just cover pricing for the awards. So we're currently in the early pricing period, and this is by far the most affordable of the pricing. So I do recommend getting your nomination in as early as possible. We have 3 tiers of pricing. The early nominations closes December 10th at midnight. So I highly recommend nominating between now and December 10th in order to get the best rate on the awards. So these numbers shown are per product entry, and you can nominate one or more products that you represent in as many categories as are appropriate. So if you have multiple products that you're wanting to enter, you'll have to, the first category is that, either $445 or $995 price, and then you get a slight price break on each additional category you choose. And then regular pricing goes up from December 11th through January 3rd. Let me just show you the slide for all of the different pricing. So you can see the difference in pricing between the early nominations rate and the regular nominations rate. You're just adding $100 to each of these tiers. And then late nominations, you actually add $300 from the early nomination pricing. So again, get your nomination in early for the best rate. That will save yourself some time and stress. No one wants to stress in the new year. So all nominations must be in by January 17th, and that way we can assign you judges and start the first round of review. Again, all nominations have to be paid for in full by the time judging begins on January 27th. So please do keep that in mind as you're nominating, especially if your company has a lengthy processing period. I'll work with you as much as I can, but we do want to make sure that you have the opportunity to connect with your judges as soon as possible because that judging process can take some time. So another thing to note is that if you're not currently an SI member, we have this great join and save option. So if you join SI, then you get your first CODiE Award nomination for free, and then you'll receive member nominations or member pricing on all of your additional nominations if you choose to go for multiple categories. So that's a great perk to consider if you've been considering membership. And I'm happy to to give you more information on that if you'd like. So just reach out and shoot me an email. So going over the dates and deadlines, here's a brief overview of what to expect over the next few months. The dates and deadlines themselves are pretty self-explanatory. I'll just kind of let you know what to expect during each of these deadlines and important dates. So as I mentioned earlier, with the CODiE Awards, you have 2 rounds of judging, and you'll see those here. For the first round of review, I'll send you a link to your judge assignments the week of January 27th. So just make sure that my email is, whitelisted. We don't want it to get stuck in spam filters because you'll really want to reach out to your judges as soon as possible. And when I send you your judge assignments, I recommend bookmarking the link. That way you can access it, from your computer at any point. I'll also post it on the CODiE Award website, but that way you don't have to dig for the CODiE site URL. You can just pull it up from your bookmarks. And then as soon as you receive your judge assignments, I encourage you to start contacting them immediately to set up a demo. You don't need to contact them, daily and things like that because they too are working professionals. But, if you are getting a response quickly, please loop me in. I have great relationships with all of the judges as well, and I'm happy to intervene if you're not getting any response and all of that good stuff. So again, don't be shy about reaching out to me. I'm happy to help. And then the judging period, while it does seem like a long amount of time, it goes quite quickly. So make sure you get your demo scheduled early, even if it'll take you a couple of weeks to put together the actual demo. Just get the meeting on the calendar. It doesn't hurt to do that. And another thing is that, especially if you're up for a EdTech CODiE Award nomination, as I mentioned, the judges are typically educators and administrators, so be mindful that during the day they are likely in the classroom, so they won't be able to view a demo during the day, so the demo might need to happen in the evening hours, and it's more likely if anyone's going to request a recorded demo, it's likely going to be on the EdTech side. So please keep that in mind. They are teachers. And then try and be accommodating. I know, especially with time zones, it can get tricky as well. So if you're running into a lot of hurdles, again, just let me know and I'll work with you to try and find a solution that works for everyone. Nominee demos are due to the judges by February 20th. That date is not listed here. And that's just to ensure that the judges have plenty of time to complete their scores by March 13th. And that's the absolute final date that the judges can enter their scores by. So really do make sure to get a demo to them, whether it be recorded or live, at least scheduled by February 20th, because we don't want to run into any trouble with not getting a demo done. And if you don't hear from your judges, so it's on the nominees to reach out to the judges first. But if you don't hear back on any of your outreach, again, let me know as soon as possible, and I will make sure to help to get your product judged by 2 judges. As I mentioned, nominees are responsible for contacting the judges to schedule the demos. Occasionally, judges will also take the initiative to contact you to start the conversation, which is great. But know that we do ask the nominees to do that initial outreach. So there is communication in place. I mentioned before the demos are generally done live using a web platform. If it's better for your team to send a recorded demo, that's fine too. Just, again, confirm with the judges that they're okay with that. Some judges have really strong opinions on if they want a recorded or a live demo, and I can find you a judge that's appropriate or that meets your needs, and so it's a great experience for both parties. All the judges are volunteers. So, and I'll also mention that this is an international program, so we do have products that are nominating from India or Korea, and if their judge is, based in the States, that can be hard for both parties to find a time that works. So we'll be as accommodating as possible there. Finalists will be announced March 30th, so definitely, again, keep an eye out for that. We'll issue a press release as well, but we'll notify all the nominees first, whether they were finalists in each of their categories they entered. And then the second round peer review judging begins on April 8th and goes through April 17th. As I mentioned before, the CODiE Award winner announcement celebrations are May 18th and 19th. There's information on that posted on our website. But all finalists should plan on being present in San Francisco because this is where the award actually is handed out. So definitely mark your calendar now and plan on going to San Francisco. Plus, there are worse places to be, right? So, and I look forward to seeing everyone there too. It's fun to celebrate with everyone. So let's go over a few tips and tricks for a successful demo. I know I've talked a lot about the first round review, but as I mentioned before, this is the crucial part of the CODiE Awards. So you do want to put your best foot forward with the demo. These tips come directly from the judges over the years, so they are the hot tips. And as I mentioned, sorry, let me get back to the questions too. I'll answer the rest of the questions at the end of the program. So if I don't answer them now, I'm just holding them to the end. Okay, so for the hot tips, before the demo, make sure to customize it for the CODiE Awards. You don't want to have canned sales pitch. It just doesn't go over well. We've seen that happen several times throughout the year, and then the product doesn't become a finalist. And it might be a great product, but if it's a generic sales pitch, it's just not going to resonate. That's not what the judges are looking for. Make sure to touch on all of the judging criteria. Some of the judging criteria may not be relevant to your product, and that's okay. The ones that are not relevant, the judge just skips over. So instead of being scored on 10 out of the 10 of the judging criteria, we'll just do the average off of the 8 relevant ones. So you'd be scored on like the average of the 8 scored. So it doesn't affect your overall score at all. And then you'll want to keep your demo tight. You definitely want to make sure it's well rehearsed. It doesn't need to take a full hour. You have up to an hour with the judge, each judge, but I actually find that most of the demos that are around 30 minutes do better because, again, they're tight. They're usually more cited, and they've probably done the homework in advance with checking in with their judges to make sure that the judges are seeing what they want to see. So, and that also provides plenty of time for questions if your judges have questions. Another one is to communicate with your judges early. I know I've mentioned this several times already, but reach out, introduce yourself, and schedule a time that works for the demo as soon as you can. It really does make a world of difference. It's also important to email confirmations and make sure that you have the right time zones and all of that good stuff, because you'd be amazed at how many times, we're assuming that everyone's in the same time zone when, again, this is an international program. Your judge may be, located in another country. So keep that in mind, and try not to leave emails or phone calls unanswered to the judges. I'm not saying you need to drop everything to, get back to them immediately, but do treat them like a top client. You're spending money on this award. It's good to follow through and treat them as you would a top client. And I've mentioned before, you do have the option to host a live demo or a recorded demo. I tend to think that live demos are a little bit better just because there are the opportunities to answer questions and have more of a dialogue with the judge. You have them for an hour of their time. It's a great way to just bounce ideas back and forth, and if they want to dig a little bit deeper into one of the features, you have the chance to do that, whereas with a recorded demo, you don't. So, but again, check in with your judge to make sure that you're providing them with the information they most want to see. And then make sure to do a tech check in advance. As we all know, there are web gremlins that happen all the time with these kind of webcasts and things like that. So just make sure that if there are already plugins or anything like that that need to be downloaded in advance of the demo, just make sure that the judges have the information they need in order to do that in advance so you aren't cutting into your time with them. Do your homework. So build your CODiE demonstration with the category description and criteria in mind, and take a peek at the judge's background. Maybe reach out to them and ask them what kind of, how familiar they are with the kind of products or with your product. And if you can provide them with product access. I know many products that's no longer an option, but if there's any kind of material or things like that you can provide them in advance that will allow them to familiarize themselves with the product before your demo, that's always nice to do as well. It just gets everyone on the same page. So put your best foot forward. Treat the judges as prospective clients, and have someone doing the demo that loves your product. So if you have someone that's super excited about it, that's going to come across so much better than someone who's may not know the ins and outs or anything like that. So if you have someone that tends to shine on these kind of product when showing your product, definitely have them on this webcast or on your demo. And then another great tip that came from one of last year's judges is to provide an outline of your presentation in advance so the judges know what to expect. That's true with any kind of meeting and things like that. Just it helps set the stage. It's okay if you don't stick to script, but at least they have a sense of what to expect. And then, so during the demo, again, just go over the outline of what you plan on covering, and maybe I find it's helpful to ask the judges in advance if they want to save the questions until the end or ask throughout. I personally think that allowing them to ask questions throughout is a nice way to do it, but sometimes, like, for example, today it's tough to do that all the time. So make sure to set that stage in advance. And then some judges will want the full, deep dive tour of your product, but most judges are really going to be interested in certain elements. So again, establish kind of what the judges are looking for up front so you know exactly what to expect, or better yet, ask them in advance. I've found that some of the product demos get too in the weeds. People are excited about their products, so they want to show every single little tiny detail, and it ends up becoming information overkill. So really pick out the things that you think shine above the rest and highlight those. And if the judges want to take a deeper dive into them, then that's great. But definitely make sure you get to all of those super cool features that set you apart from the competition. If your product has a lot of different views, like an administrator view, a user or parent view, then give them a chance to see all of those if you can. If it's not relevant, then don't worry about it, but oftentimes they want to see all of the different interfaces to get the full product experience. So again, just check in with them on that. And then I find creating a story is the greatest way to kick off a demo. So if you can tell a story about your product and what sets it apart, or what your product does to get you started, to show how awesome it is, then do that. It really, sets a great stage. And then make sure you're keeping an eye on time. So you don't want to run over because you only have an hour. And then after the demo, make sure to thank your judges for their time. As I mentioned before, they are volunteers, but it's a great way to just thank them for their time, follow up. You can send them the link to the recorded demo in case they want to revisit anything. Again, if you have additional materials you'd like to share with them, you're welcome to do so via email. And those are kind of the big takeaways that I've received from the judges. But again, those are all tips that come straight from judges. And then continuing on, so the last thing I wanted to just touch base on before we jump into questions is how companies then leverage their CODiE Award nomination, win, or finalist status. So this is the last part of our webcast before we get into questions. So we've kind of gone over several of these points already throughout the program, but my number one tip really is to start mapping out a plan now. So get with your marketing and PR team. If you have a PR agency or you are a PR agency and you represent a client, just make sure you have a plan in place on how you want to outreach throughout the awards process. So you'll want to just have that in plan by the time the judging kicks off, so you're really ready to leverage the awards throughout the process. You'll want to make sure to include things like your social media schedules, email announcements, press releases, customer calls. We've seen people run ads in publications. They've shared their news in their company memos. They have it listed on their about pages of their website and trade show materials, email signatures. So these are just a few ideas to help you really leverage the awards that we've seen, and there are several other ways to do it as well. So use this time to really reach out to your customers and prospects and just let them know you're up for an award. That's an awesome thing to do. And then to help, what we do is we actually provide you with a press packet that includes CODiE Award logos, so whether it be a finalist logo or a winner logo, press release templates, things like that. At the winner announcement, we'll also have a photographer on site. They take great pictures. And, of course, we have our photo booth there as well, which is always fun, too, so you have some fun photos to use. And then we also provide the opportunity to do video interviews. So if you want to do a quick video interview, great. If you want to wait until you get home so the recording quality is better, we're happy to do that too. And, of course, we'll share all of the photos and videos with you so you can use them on your site as well. And then you'll just want to make sure to add, your own spin like we mentioned before. So now that is the bulk of the How to Nominate webcast, and now we'll jump into some questions. So I do see a few coming through. One question is, does having tickets to the awards ceremony increase your chance of winning the award? So it doesn't. The tickets are really more because the timeline is so tight. We do encourage that all of the finalists be at the awards ceremony because we won't know the winners. I don't even know the winners until the week before. So that'll give you plenty of time, or that'll give you time to get a ticket, to get to San Francisco, and to celebrate. It's great there are plenty of contacts on site for you to mix and mingle with. These are all people that are part of the tech industry. So it's a great event to be at and to network, and it's fun. So just plan on being there to hopefully bring home your award. And that is where the awards, you have to actually be there to collect it. The winners are the winners, but in order to get your beautiful crystal award, you'll have to be present. So another question is if there's a way to get one judge for two categories. So you only do one demo for two categories. So unfortunately, all of our judges are different for each of the categories, and that's because we want our judges to have specific knowledge in the category that they've been assigned. So it is possible to have both of your judges on one call for each category, if that makes sense. But it is, I will say it's very hard to schedule a time that works for both judges. And you run the risk of having a missed demo. With that said, it's completely fine with me if you decide to schedule one demo with both of your judges in a particular category. If one of the judges misses that demo for whatever reason, you can send them a recorded demo. That's completely fine. Just notify me, and I'll follow up with them to make sure that they have all the information they need. But you will have at least one demo per category. And then, so a couple more. Okay, so yes, all nominee, one question that came through is that all nominee entries from the first round of judging will get feedback. So yes, every single nomination that comes through receives their two judges, will have their demos with the judges, and will receive feedback from both of those judges. No matter what, you will get that as part of the CODiE Award process. And then the finalists advance to the second round of judging, and really that second round is a very quick review. The people that are voting in that second round just review all of the finalist information that you're putting in your portal. So you want to make sure that there's nothing that that's confidential. You don't want to put any confidential information in your portal because it will be seen by the voters in the second round review, and that's done only by one designated voter from each SIA member company. And then another question that popped up is if you can nominate in the same category that you did last year. And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. The only restriction is that we have a couple of emerging categories, and so if your product is over 3 years old, then you cannot nominate in the emerging category. But all the other categories are fair game if you've nominated them in them one time or many times. And, you know, if you've won those categories, it's okay to nominate again. Maybe you'll win again. So definitely you're welcome to nominate in the same categories. Another question is, what do I do if I can't reach a judge? So again, always, you know, contact me at any time. My phone number and email are here on the screen. You can also tweet us. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. We should be connected anyway on LinkedIn. And we do check Facebook too occasionally. So feel free to reach out any of those ways at any time, and I'm happy to help. I actually enjoy helping, so please do reach out. And then I got another one is, what happens if I can't attend the CODiE Awards ceremony? So as I mentioned, it is very important for you to actually attend the ceremony. So if you've been managing the entire award process and you can't personally attend, that's okay. Just make sure that you have someone that can represent you or the product at the winner announcement in San Francisco. So that could be a client that's in the area. That could be someone from your PR agency that represents you. That could be an investor, maybe a board member. So anyone that would be able to accept on your behalf is welcome to attend in your place. They will then go home with the actual physical award. So something to keep in mind there. Another question is, will the EdTech judges be different than the ones for the EdTech Cool Tool Award? Yes, the CODiE Award judges are unique to the CODiE Awards. So the judges apply year after year. They aren't automatically made judges. I actually make notes, so if I received feedback that wasn't favorable on a judge, then we make sure not to use them, year after year. And then we double check to make sure that the judges have experience in the categories that they've signed up for. So we try and pair them appropriately, but if you see something as a mismatch or if you see any kind of conflict of interest or anything like that, then we do make sure to swap out those judges. So raise your hand. Don't be shy to ask questions or let me know if there are any conflicts. We need to be aware of them. So definitely keep that in mind. And a question came up on if the demo has to be in person, and no. The demos are rarely in person. Usually they are done via live webcast. Oftentimes they're also done via recorded webcast, and I've had one live in-person demo that I'm aware of, just because the nominee and the judge happen to be in the same city, which is awesome. But like I said, there's only one time that I've in the last 4 years that has come up. And then for scheduling a demo, you just reach out to your judges specifically or directly. So feel free to copy me if you're having any trouble. I tend to get through spam filters a little bit easier. And then, let's see, there's another question on the nomination. So someone asked if a demo is required when submitting the nomination, and the answer is no. The only things that are required are the product description, the product name, selecting your categories, entering your nominee contact, and then paying for the nominations. You can always go back and add additional information like links to additional materials, or you can add a demo later after you've already had a demo with your judges. You can go back and add one then, but it's not required at the time of nominating. And a question came through about when you know if you'll be a finalist or not. So the finalists are announced March 30th, and I'll reach out to all of the nominees before we put out a press release or an email. So you should be aware of if you're a finalist or not in each of the categories you nominated in the morning of March 30th. We have everything tightened up by then. And that is, and to that point, if you've nominated in multiple categories, you'll receive multiple emails. So forgive me in advance. It's just the way the system turns out the emails. But if you have any questions on that, just let me know. And if you don't receive an email by that morning, then check your spam filter, because it could have gone through there, because it is generated by our system. So with that, that's all of the questions that I have that have come through so far. So if you have additional questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Again, I'll put my contact information up on the screen. And I look forward to working with everyone. So have a great rest of your day. I'll send this recording to everyone now that the webcast is just about over, and reach out with any questions. I look forward to working with you.